This is Back Roads of Illinois, server to farmers and ranchers in central Illinois and the Midwest. Today is edition of Back Roads of Illinois. We were bringing you lasted for farming sources and information sponsored by AgriGold. We're glad you're here on today at the Farm Progress Show in Decatur. Meantime, that we see everyone there is enjoying the show in Decatur for the Farm Progress Show. I am Cesar Delgado. I am your host for today at the Farm Progress. I'm here with Matt Jungmann from Farm Progress in Decatur at the Farm Progress Show. Matt is the Senior Director of Events for the Farm Progress Show and National Director of Events. We're glad you're here on today for our program at the Farm Progress Show on the weather in central Illinois. However, I am glad that you were talking with me about the show. And I'm with Chris Gold from Illinois Corn Growers Association and Kevin Johnson from Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association at the Farm Progress Show in Decatur, Illinois. And then we are here with Brian Basting from Advanced Trading at the Farm Progress Show in Decatur. Meantime, that we are glad to have you at the Farm Progress Show in Decatur. You've been listening to Back Roads of Illinois.
Okay.
I'm going with Kevin Johnson from Illinois Fertilizer and Chemical Association in Decatur for the Farm Progress Show. KJ, how are you? And glad to have you on today with us in Decatur.
Hey, thanks for having me, Caesar. I appreciate it. You picked a great day to come to Farm Progress Show. 70 degrees is a lot better than it usually is here when it's usually 90, so good to see you.
Good to have you. Okay, let's discuss about your growing season in northern part of the state. What is your thoughts with today's crop for this fertilizer prices with nitrogen for corn acreage?
So yeah, crops are looking good. I'm over in the Champaign area. Crops are looking pretty good, but it has turned a little dry. So I think if you would ask me 4th of July, we looked really, really good, but it's kind of tailed off a little bit, but I think we're still going to have a really good crop. Talking about fertilizer prices, you know, we're hearing some different stuff, and it has been higher than we've seen in the last couple of years. Ammonia, if we see, is going to probably be in that $750 to $850 a ton. I think some people are looking to see if that might pull back just a little bit, but that's what we're hearing, the first estimates of what ammonia might be this fall.
What is your thoughts on the August report on nitrogen?
I think it's all going to be tied back to the crop, what the USA said on the crop report of what stuff is going to be. I think, just talking to our farmers at our show last week, that guys might be pulling back just a little bit. Maybe not on nitrogen, but actually on your phosphates and major potash, but specifically on phosphates of what that price is. I do think guys are going to have some hard conversations with themselves and their bankers of what we put out, or do we just kick to next spring to see what those prices are?
Yeah, we will see for next couple months.
Absolutely. I think of guys, and I can even tell my father, he's already said, hey, we usually do all fall dry fertilizer. Hey, we're going to see what the price is. Maybe we cook this spring to see what those prices are. But I think there will definitely be a pullback just with some of those prices, just what the economics are right now in corn and soybean country.
KJ, how are things in the fertilizer prices for right now?
I think the biggest one, examples that we already kind of talked about, is phosphates. Everything's a little higher, but phosphates is probably, compared to corn prices, a record high. I think there's definitely going to be some pullback out there, but we'll see what it is. Potash is in pretty good supply right now. The only thing I worry about on potash is just if the administration comes out talking more about tariffs, just because probably about 98% of the potash that we have that comes in to the States comes out of Canada. And if you put a 25% tariff on it, that's going to drive that prices up even higher. So just kind of watch out for that. It's just what comes out of Washington, D.C. about tariffs.
Do you recommend for farmers to put in place if they're a fertilizer for this fall?
I think everybody should just have a good understanding with their retailer, what their needs are going to be. I truly do think retailers, just like a farmer, are buying those needs. It's at definitely a higher price. I think there's just going to be a huge supply where guys are just going to buy so much. So have a conversation with your retailer now, or once you start just getting into harvest, of what your needs are. Just because with that higher price, I think retailers are going to not just stockpile everything just because if there is a shift in price. So definitely have a conversation with your retailer or your supplier.
Sure. Do you have any final thoughts on this harvest season coming up after the Farm Progress Show?
Again, like I said earlier, have conversations with your retailer or your supplier just so you know what your needs going in. Because again, I think retailers are going to see what that price is and not just stockpile everything they need. Also, just have a safe harvest. We get in a big rush. I'm just like everybody else in the field. We want to get done as soon, but slow down, be safe on the roads, and get home safely.
Thanks to KJ. I am glad to see you in Decatur for the Farm Progress Show.
Caesar, thanks for having me, and have a great show.
This is Kevin. What was your thoughts on this month's report?
It was a shock to the trade, Caesar. It was a shock to see how large the increase was in acreage for corn, and of course the yield far exceeded expectations. So the trade was shocked. However, we have seen the market rebound from the lows that were made that day. So we'll see. Maybe that might have been the indication of an early harvest low. Not a prediction, but it's something that we can be aware of. Again, not a price prediction. But my other impression, Caesar, was that the acreage of beans, of course, was a lot lower. But the bean yield was high. But at the end of the day, the bean production was lower than expected, and we have seen a positive response in the bean market the last two and a half weeks here. So I think the market now is waiting to see, will these yields from the farms actually verify the USDA yields? Will they surpass the USDA yields, or will they fall short? But it was a shock to the trade, the report was.
Sure. Can you tell our audience about the world supply and demand report from early on this month?
The other item that the corn market, Caesar, was interested in was the Brazilian corn production. They have almost completed the harvest in Brazil, and most indications are that the yields and production are high, in some cases record high in Brazil. However, the USDA in the report earlier this month left Brazilian corn production unchanged from what it was in July. There's a lot of indications that number could increase in subsequent reports, perhaps as soon as September, but those bushels from Brazil will compete directly with U.S. corn in the export market. So it'll be very important to see now what Brazil production actually is, because exports are already increasing now. During the month of August, they're going to be higher than what they were a year ago. So Brazil's production is well above last year, so we'll see what the actual production and exports are. Elsewhere, we didn't see a lot of surprises in the world numbers. I would say that the Brazilian soybean crop is really large and it continues to supply the soybean market worldwide. USDA's export forecast for U.S. soybeans was a little bit above what we're looking at internally at our company. And that's linked directly to the lack of a trade deal with China so far. But in terms of the report, I'd say the shocker, of course, is U.S. production, corn and beans, corn well above, beans well below. And the fact that they did not increase the Brazilian corn crop, I think that number is going to increase down the road, Caesar.
How is the beans yields in Brazil?
The bean harvest was a record harvest in Brazil, and it's so large that we anticipate that they will continue to export now into September and perhaps all the way into October. Seasonally, U.S. bean exports typically increase quite a bit in October. That may not be the case this year because of the size of that Brazilian crop and the fact that we don't have any sales on the books to China so far. At the moment, Caesar, it looks like that the Brazilian supply is all going to China at the moment. China continues to purchase and import Brazilian beans. So a record crop, and they are the dominant factor in the world bean market at this point. Having said that, we're still looking at some pretty good bean exports from the U.S. to other destinations. But we still need to keep an eye on China. Without China, I think bean exports from the U.S. this fall will be disappointing.
We will see.
Now, it could occur 6 months from now. But eventually, supply and demand fundamentals will change. We'll either produce more cattle or demand will back off because the price of beef, for example, at the retail sector is increasing. So eventually, and I don't know when that point is, we will see the cattle market top out. And it'll be a combination of factors, probably something we don't anticipate. For example, the screwworm example of a black swan. But for the short term, the fundamentals of supply and demand have been constructive. We have continued to see good beef demand this summer in spite of these higher prices.
Do you have any final thoughts on the balance sheet for this fall? We are in final step in the growing season, Brian.
First, I want to thank you for the opportunity to meet you, Caesar, and have this opportunity to have this interview. It's been a pleasure meeting you. I would say two things. Number one, we, of course, want to wish everyone a safe harvest this fall. It's a busy time, so we want to remember safety is first at harvest. Secondly, producers want to use the marketing tools available to them to defend their balance sheet. By that, we mean establish a price floor for your production, but leave the upside open. If you intend to sell your fall crops, your corn and soybeans, at harvest, across the scale, as it were, one marketing strategy they might consider is to sell, establish a floor, and purchase a call option. Call option enables a producer to benefit if the market rallies. Alternatively, if a producer is going to store the newly harvested corn and bean crops, whether at home or store at the elevator in town, alternatively, we would recommend that they purchase a put option to establish a price floor underneath the market, but leave the upside open. Either way, the message I'll share with your listeners at this point, Caesar, flexibility. You want to maintain flexibility because we have the whole marketing year in front of us. We could be surprised, as we were last year, with lower than expected yields. Not a prediction, but a possibility. We did see the market rally last year. Again, not a prediction for this year. But what we want to do is maintain flexibility to participate in a market rally, but also have a floor underneath ourselves. Because what we could find out as harvest proceeds is that these yields will meet USDA expectations or maybe even surpass expectations, and the markets could trend lower. So again, market flexibility, defend your balance sheet.
Where people people can find you for your consulting services for their grain marketing?
You can contact me directly at 309-664-2314. And our website is www.advance-trading.com.
I'm here with Matt Jungmann from Farm Progress in Decatur at the Farm Progress Show. Matt is the Senior Director of Events for the Farm Progress Show and National Director of Events. We're glad you're here on today for our program at the Farm Progress Show and the weather in Central Illinois. However, I am glad that you were talking with me about the show.
The weather is incredible. It was 3 beautiful days of show. I don't know if we've ever had 3 beautiful days like this. It's good to see you in person. It's good to see you here. It's great to see your cowboy boots look fantastic, and your media credentials, you wear them very well. I like seeing you in them.
I love it, but we were in Decatur. Meantime, did we enjoy the show in Decatur? So do you have updated on the attendees for today in the fairground and Richland Community College with the weather?
The weather is incredible, and I think that's outweighing the commodity prices are tough right now, but I think this beautiful weather is really bringing people out in droves. We usually don't fill parking lots on Tuesday, the first day of the show. So to have full parking lots on Tuesday, almost had to use overflow. We've got a really, really big crowd in here, and the exhibitors are all having good conversations and really a lot more optimism than maybe folks expected. So all good news.
How is your growing season in Decatur?
If I could schedule weather to be hot all summer long, to get the corn cranked along so we'd have good field demos, and then have it turn off cool for the week of the Farm Progress Show, that's what I'd have, and that's exactly what we've got. When the corn was all on the ground by April 17th, and it was dry early, and then about 5 weeks in, they finally got a rain that kind of saved everything, and then it was wet through the middle part of the summer, and now it's drying off around here. It feels a lot more like fall than it does the end of August.
Yes, but the heat was pretty bad for this year.
It was pretty brutal, and even for the folks, so the tents started going in the air on July 21st is when the tents started flying here. So that, of the 5 weeks of setup, the first 3 weeks were, or even 4 weeks, the first 4 weeks were really rough. Last week wasn't bad towards the end.
Sure. What is your favorite about the demo in the field today?
I got to watch some of the harvest demonstration, and that corn, some years the corn's really green when we're out there and we're picking 30% corn, but this year it looks like corn that's ready to harvest. It's 18% moisture, and so when it was 60 degrees and harvesting dry corn, it looked right, it smelled like fall, it smelled like harvest season.
What was the hybrid was planting?
It was, we've got a partnership with FS, and they help out with all the agronomic services for the field demonstrations as well as the parking lots. And we use an 87-day hybrid. I don't actually know what brand it is, but it's sold through FS. 87-day corn here in Central Illinois, doing upper 170s through low 190s for yield. It's been pretty impressive.
Great to hear that. I'm enjoying the show, and I see everyone that is enjoying the show with equipment and new technology. You know that the commodity price has been looking into the downward spiral, but do farmers are wondering could to buy a new tractor or a sprayer?
Yep, it is a downturn, but the thing about it is it's a cyclical business. Everybody knows that there are good times and then there are rough times at the bottom of the cycle, and that's where we are. But farmers in general are optimistic and hopeful, and they know that this will turn around too, and that there'll be a day where they need some of this new technology added to their operation.
Do you watching about the corn markets?
I'm usually pretty good about watching it, but then when I get on site here, I'm not very good about it. I don't pay close enough attention because I got enough going on setting this up. But rather than continually going down, we had a few ups here recently, so hopefully that means good things.
How about the cash grains really quick?
Yeah, I'm honestly not a good judge on that. It's not something that I'm the expert on. I'll bet you've got some good experts coming in for that.
Do you have any final thoughts on this farm progress show in Decatur as we are here?
No, I'm just glad you're here, Caesar. It's good. I'm glad that you're here and you're enjoying yourself, and it's a beautiful day, and you're getting around here, and I'm glad to see you in person. It's really wonderful.
Thanks. Thanks, Matt. I am glad that I have you on here for today in Decatur.
All right. Thanks, bud.
We've been talking with Matt Jungmann in Decatur for the Farm Progress show on today. On back roads of Illinois.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to
Appreciate it.
Bye. Thank you, sir.
You bet. That's good. All right, right there.